Jennifer Hudson has never strayed far from her Chicago roots, despite a meteoric rise to fame and even Oscar gold.
The little boy was reported missing Friday afternoon when his mom, Julia Hudson, came home to find him gone and her mother, Darnell Donnerson, and brother, Jason Hudson, shot to death.
Sometimes the brightest lights in Hollywood shine over the darkest moments. Behind the awards, the applause, and the millions of fans cheering from around the world, there are stories of pain that nobody sees. Stories of families broken in seconds, dreams interrupted by tragedy, and people forced to discover a strength they never knew they had. For Jennifer Hudson, the world saw a rising superstar, a powerful voice, a woman who went from a contestant chasing a dream to an Academy Award-winning performer standing among the biggest names in entertainment. But in October 2008, everything changed. At a time when her career was reaching incredible heights, Jennifer Hudson faced a nightmare no person should ever have to experience. The world watched as a devastating family tragedy unfolded, one that took away three people closest to her heart and left behind questions, heartbreak, and a lifetime of memories. The story became one of the most talked about tragedies in entertainment history. But years later, another wave of conversations began. Rumors, speculation, conspiracy theories, claims from public figures questioning what really happened behind the scenes. One of the loudest voices was comedian Katt Williams, who has often spoken about what he believes are hidden sides of Hollywood and the entertainment industry. His comments sparked new discussions online, bringing Jennifer Hudson's name back into headlines. But beyond the rumors and the speculation, there is a deeper story. A story about grief. A story about survival. A story about how someone can lose almost everything and still find a reason to keep moving forward. This is the story of Jennifer Hudson, not just the superstar the world knows, but the woman who had to rebuild her life after unimaginable loss. Before tragedy struck, Jennifer Hudson was living a dream that many people spend their entire lives chasing. Her voice had already captured millions. She had competed on American Idol, earned respect as one of the strongest vocal talents of her generation, and shocked audiences with her powerful performances. Then came the role that changed her career forever. Her performance in Dreamgirls turned her into a household name. She earned worldwide praise and eventually won an Academy Award for her performance. At only 27 years old, Jennifer Hudson had reached a level of success most artists only imagine. But success does not protect anyone from pain. On October 24, 2008, a quiet neighborhood in Chicago became the center of a heartbreaking investigation. Jennifer Hudson's mother, Darnell Donnerson, and her brother, Jason Hudson, were found dead inside the family home. The shock was overwhelming. This was not just a celebrity story. This was a family destroyed. And then came another devastating discovery. Jennifer's young nephew, Julian King, was missing. For days, authorities searched while the Hudson family lived through every family member's worst nightmare, hoping, praying, and waiting for answers. But the search ended in heartbreak. 7-year-old Julian was found deceased inside a vehicle, turning an already painful tragedy into something even more devastating. A mother was gone, a brother was gone, a child was gone, and Jennifer Hudson's life would never be the same again. As investigators worked to understand what happened, attention quickly turned toward William Balfour, the estranged husband of Jennifer Hudson's sister, Julia. According to prosecutors, Balfour had a troubled relationship with Julia and had allegedly made threatening statements in the past. The investigation revealed a complicated history involving arguments, separation, and conflict. Authorities began building their case. Evidence became a major part of the investigation. Prosecutors later argued that Balfour's jealousy and anger over the relationship ending played a role in the events that happened. The case would eventually become one of the most closely followed trials in Chicago. But for Jennifer Hudson, this was not just a courtroom battle. This was about the people she lost, the people who raised her, the people who knew her before fame, the people who loved her before the world knew her name. Years after the tragedy, Jennifer Hudson stepped into the courtroom. For someone known for her voice, one of the hardest things she had to do was use that voice to speak about her family. She remembered her mother. She remembered her brother. She remembered her nephew, and she shared the pain of losing the people who had been part of her foundation. The trial lasted weeks. Prosecutors presented evidence they said connected Balfour to the crimes. The defense argued that the case against him was based on circumstances and questioned parts of the investigation. But after days of testimony and deliberation, the jury reached a decision. On May 11, 2012, William Balfour was found guilty on all counts. He received 3 consecutive life sentences without the possibility of parole. For many people watching, the verdict represented justice. But for Jennifer Hudson, a conviction could never bring back the people she lost. A courtroom decision could close one chapter, but it could never erase the pain. After the tragedy, Jennifer Hudson stepped away from the spotlight. The woman who had once stood confidently on some of the world's biggest stages suddenly disappeared from public view. And who could blame her? Behind every performance is a person. Behind every celebrity is a human being who feels pain, fear, and heartbreak just like everyone else. The media wanted answers. Fans wanted updates. The public wanted to understand how someone could continue after experiencing something so devastating. But grief does not follow a schedule. Healing does not happen overnight. Jennifer Hudson had to process the loss that changed the entire direction of her life. And yet, eventually she returned. Not because the pain disappeared, but because she found a way to carry it. In 2009, Jennifer Hudson made one of the most emotional returns of her career. She performed the national anthem at the Super Bowl. For many viewers, the moment was unforgettable. The performance represented more than just a song. It represented resilience. A woman who had been through unimaginable pain was standing in front of millions again. Her voice became a symbol of survival. The same voice that had once brought people joy was now carrying a story of strength. And slowly, Jennifer Hudson began rebuilding. She returned to music. She continued acting. She created new memories. But she also found ways to honor the family members she lost. Because moving forward did not mean forgetting. It meant carrying their love with her. Years later, the tragedy continued to attract public attention. The entertainment industry has always been surrounded by rumors, and Jennifer Hudson's story was no exception. Some online discussions began connecting her tragedy with conspiracy theories about fame, success, and Hollywood. Comments spread suggesting hidden forces or secret explanations behind her rise. However, Jennifer Hudson herself has focused publicly on healing, family, faith, and remembering her loved ones. She has not supported those conspiracy claims. Instead, her message has consistently been about resilience, about finding peace, about continuing despite pain. And that became one of the most important parts of her story. Because sometimes the biggest battle is not proving something to the world. Sometimes the biggest battle is finding the strength to keep living your own life. For Jennifer Hudson, surviving the tragedy was only the beginning. The hardest part came afterward, because when the cameras stopped recording and the headlines disappeared, she was left with something much more personal: the memories. The birthdays that would never be celebrated. The conversations that would never happen again. The family moments that suddenly existed only in photographs. People often see celebrities as larger-than-life figures, but grief has a way of reminding everyone that fame cannot protect a person from heartbreak. Jennifer Hudson was not just an award-winning singer. She was a daughter who lost her mother, a sister who lost her brother, an aunt who lost her nephew. And those losses changed the way she looked at life forever. Years later, when she spoke about the tragedy, she explained that the pain never completely disappears. Instead, people learn how to carry it. That became the foundation of her journey. Not pretending everything was fine, not forgetting, but learning how to move forward while still honoring the people who were taken from her. One of the ways Jennifer Hudson kept her family's memory alive was by turning her pain into something meaningful. She created the Julian D. King Gift Foundation, an organization dedicated to helping children and families. The foundation became a reflection of something deeper, a reminder that even after losing someone, their impact can continue. Julian was remembered not only as the child who was taken away too soon, but as a young life filled with personality, intelligence, and love. For Jennifer, creating something positive in his name became a way to transform grief into purpose. Because tragedy can take away moments. It can take away people, but it cannot erase the love they left behind. Years after his conviction, William Balfour gave an interview from prison where he continued to maintain his innocence. He claimed that he had nothing to do with the deaths of Darnell Donnerson, Jason Hudson, and Julian King. Balfour suggested that evidence had been misunderstood and that people involved in the case had lied. He described himself as someone who had been wrongly convicted, but prosecutors and the jury saw the evidence differently. During the trial, the prosecution presented evidence they argued connected him to the crime, including witness testimony, forensic evidence, and other investigative findings. The conviction remained. And despite his continued statements, the legal outcome did not change. For the Hudson family, the pain remained the same. Because even after justice was served, there was still an empty space where loved ones used to be. When Balfour spoke publicly, many people were disturbed by the way he discussed the tragedy. Viewers reacted strongly to his calm presentation and his continued denial. Some questioned how someone could speak about such a devastating event without showing what people expected to see emotionally. Others argued that interviews alone cannot reveal the full truth of what happened inside someone's mind. Regardless of opinions, one thing remained clear. The case continued to create strong emotions years later, because some stories never truly leave the public conversation. Perhaps one of the most surprising parts of Jennifer Hudson's story came years later when she talked about forgiveness. Many people struggled to understand how someone could forgive a person connected to such a painful loss. But Jennifer explained forgiveness differently. For her, forgiveness was not about saying the pain did not matter. It was not about forgetting. It was about freeing herself from carrying anger forever. She explained that she looked at the circumstances that shaped people and believed that everyone's life experiences influence who they become. She reflected on the values her mother gave her: faith, love, and compassion. Those lessons became a source of strength. Jennifer said that the foundation her family built for her helped her remain grounded. The same family she lost was also the reason she kept going. Family has always been central to Jennifer Hudson's identity. Before fame, before awards, before Hollywood, there was family. She often spoke about how important her mother was in shaping who she became. Her mother's lessons stayed with her. The encouragement, the discipline, the belief that families should always stand together. After losing so much, Jennifer became even more protective of the family she still had. She focused on raising her son, David, and creating a life filled with love and stability. She once explained that becoming a mother gave her another reason to keep moving forward. Her child became a reminder that life still had purpose, that there were still moments worth experiencing, that the future still mattered. One of the biggest challenges Jennifer Hudson faced was the way people judged her grieving process. Some people expected a certain reaction. They expected constant sadness. They expected visible emotion. But grief is different for everyone. Some people cry openly. Some people become quiet. Some people focus on work. Some people find strength through faith. There is no single way to experience loss. Jennifer's decision to continue her career confused some people. But for her, continuing was not disrespecting the people she lost. It was honoring them. She believed her mother and brother would want her to keep living, to keep creating, to keep smiling, to keep becoming the person they helped her become. Despite everything she experienced, Jennifer Hudson continued building an incredible career. Her music continued reaching audiences. Her acting career expanded. She portrayed legendary figures and earned respect as a performer capable of bringing emotion and depth to every role. She became a television personality and mentor, sharing her experience with new generations of performers. Her career became proof that a person can experience devastating loss and still find moments of success. Not because the pain disappeared, but because the human spirit can adapt. The entertainment world has always attracted speculation. Whenever a person becomes successful, people often search for explanations. Sometimes those explanations are based on facts. Sometimes they are based on assumptions. Jennifer Hudson's story became connected to larger conversations about fame, power, and the entertainment industry. Public figures like Katt Williams have spoken about their own views of Hollywood and alleged hidden problems within the industry. His comments created discussions among fans who questioned whether some celebrities face struggles behind closed doors. But when it comes to Jennifer Hudson, the public facts remain centered around her documented tragedy, her family's loss, and her journey toward healing. The most important part of her story is not the rumors. It is the resilience. People know Jennifer Hudson for her incredible vocals. They know the awards. They know the performances. They know the famous moments. But behind all of that is a woman who experienced something that changed her forever. A woman who had to rebuild her identity after losing the people who helped create it. A woman who discovered that strength does not always look like confidence. Sometimes strength is simply waking up and choosing to continue. Sometimes strength is raising a child while carrying memories of those who are gone. Sometimes strength is forgiving when the world expects revenge. Jennifer Hudson's story is not just a story about tragedy. It is a story about survival. It is about how life can change in one moment, how a person can fall into unimaginable darkness, and how, slowly, they can find their way back toward the light. The world saw the singer. The world saw the actress. But behind the fame was a person carrying a lifetime of memories. A daughter, a sister, a mother, a survivor. And perhaps the greatest part of Jennifer Hudson's journey is this. The tragedy changed her life, but it did not define her. She chose to honor the people she lost by living, by loving, by creating, and by proving that even after the hardest moments imaginable, the human spirit can still rise.